So the Gold Oval arc ended in the last chapter of Firetail 100-year quest, and the opinions about the arc are kinda mixed. On one side you got people who say the arc was okay, nothing over the top or groundbreaking, just simply okay. While on the other side you got people who say the arc was the absolute worst arc in Firetail's history. It was a disappointment, filled with flaws on top of flaws. Because of this, I decided to make a whole video about the arc, pointing out the flaws of the arc, alongside with all the good points what the arc had, and try to draw a conclusion at the end. How was the arc? Was it good or was it bad? However, since this is a really long topic, I am not used to make these long videos, I will split the video into multiple parts, with each part having its own separate section in the description, so you could just skip to the part you want to. But let's not drag the topic longer, let's get started.
With you till the day I die.
Despite a significant chunk of the fandom complaining about the arc, the Gold Oval arc actually had a lot of good stuff, what balanced out the bad parts of the arc. Some of these were extremely amazing. One of these was the introduction of Alchemy, a brand new unexplored power system with lot of potential. Even if Mashima didn't fully explore the power system in the arc, he still introduced it, leaving room for further lore expansions. It also gives room for fans to theorize, make their own fanfiction, and so on. It also could potentially lead to separate spin-offs and series playing in the world of Firetail using Alchemy as their main power system, instead of magic. Alchemy was also shown to be different than magic compared to what some people think and say. While magic is good for everything because it is magic, alchemy is a power that takes something that already exists and changes its shape, form and components to something else. While magic can create things from nothing, alchemy was shown to use already existing matters and concepts. The second good point of this arc was God Serena. When God Serena got killed off in Alvarez War, people were really unhappy, because he was a character extremely hyped up. He had 8 different Dragon Slayer magic and was the strongest wizard saint. The hype behind him was really big, just for that hype to go to waste, all thanks to Acnologia. And when he returned in the Labyrinth arc, people were both happy because he is back, and sad because this meant another fake out death. This changed in the Gold Oval arc. We finally seen God Serena go all out against an opponent equal to him. We finally see each of his abilities and more. He finally lived up to his hype, and even if he got defeated again, he was finally shown as a worthy wizard, not just a punching bag. It was also revealed that he was in fact dead. He was just a puppet, created from his dead body, so no fake out death, as people assumed, giving the haters a big middle finger. However, God Serena also gave us the third good part of this arc, Jellal's backstory and character development. Thanks to God Serena's Darkness Dragon Slayer magic, we finally seen more about Jellal's backstory. We seen who he was before the events of the air system. We see what he went through even before he went insane thanks to Urtir. This also made us understand why was he so obsessed with his sins and why was he so easy to manipulate by Urtir to begin with. His backstory gave a brand new perspective for his character that explains many of his current actions. It made us see him more than just a guy obsessed with the events of the Tower of Heaven arc. This backstory also led Jellal to a moment of character development. It showed us that Jellal is slowly moving forward. He's slowly starting to accept himself once again and heal from all the trauma he experienced. But Jellal didn't just contribute to the good parts of the arc with his backstory and character development. He also used a brand new move called Orion, and it was quite awesome. Not just because it was a new spell, but because he used it in a pretty creative way. The fifth good part of the arc was Natsu using Lightning Fire Dragon mode. Lightning Fire Dragon mode is a form that Natsu barely uses. It drains his magic power faster, so it is understandable. However, this time he used it for real, going crazy against Athena too. He basically beat Athena too with it, finally showing how powerful the form truly is. If not for Duke, Natsu would have totally destroyed Athena too. Seeing what Lightning Fire Dragon mode truly is capable of was really exciting, and it was hands down one of the more hype moments of the arc. But good things about Natsu don't stop here. We also got Lightning Dragon mode Natsu as well. What was even more hype and exciting than Lightning Fire Dragon mode. Natsu only using his Lightning Dragon Slayer magic was hands down the best moment of the entire arc. It deepened the connection between Natsu and Laxas, while the design of the form itself was really good. It was quite simple, yet really well delivered, showing how not every new form and mode in anime and manga needs to be over-designed. Something simple works just as well if done good. One of the better parts of the arc was also Natsu going all out against Viernes. The fight was just straight up peak, and seeing Natsu go beast mode was hands down hype. People like to say the fight was bad, however this isn't true. The fight itself was really intense and hype all the way till the end. It gave Natsu more crazy feats and further played into the elemental advantage and disadvantage aspect of Fire Tail 100 Year Quest what Mashima is playing around with. It also gave Viernes some crazy destructive feats. The 8th part of this arc what was really good was the introduction of Athena. Athena hands down is an extremely interesting character, and even if in the arc she wasn't as impressive, not living up to the hype, she's still a key character who will play further role in the story, so she being finally introduced was good. Her design is also really interesting and unique for Fire Tail. She being a living puppet instead of an actual human being was a really good writing choice from Mashima's side. The Signario Sisters were also brought back, proving the people who jump to conclusions about them wrong. Them losing so easily pissed a lot of people up, just for Mashima to doubt that they are in fact still in the game. So the hype they received didn't go to waste. This made them losing against Erza make sense since they were mind controlled. Loving seeing people who jump to conclusions getting proven wrong. The arc was also filled with many amazing fights, like Erza vs Signario Sisters. Even if you consider the writing side of the fight bad, the ass-whooping aspect of it was really good. Same with the fight between Serena and Jellal. It had some really good and creative moments. We also got Natsu vs Athena too, Natsu vs Viernes, but all had some really good moments. The arc was filled with many great fights in terms of ass-whooping, but is quite important for a battle shonen. But we also got a massive chunk of lore in the arc around Eleftheria, the dragons, Athena, and of course about Duke. Even if we didn't receive a massive explanation about Duke, the slight backstory about him and Eleftheria was pretty nice. It made the arc deeper and made the entire lore of 100 Year Quest make more sense. It made things feel more alive and put things into a different perspective. We also got lore about alchemy and how it shares roots with magic, what might lead to more things in the future. We also got many things what might be foreshadowing towards future events and other build-ups for the next arc. But putting aside all the writing stuff, one of the best part of the Gold Owl arc was hands down the art. Ueda put a lot of effort making the arc feel unique. The character artwork was really amazing, especially the ones with Natsu. The Purgatory Alchemy world also felt creepy as intended. Ueda did an amazing job showing the emotions of the characters through the entire arc. The art was also quite consistent through the run of the entire arc, and even if you don't like the writing direction, the art was still really good. Even if he can't replicate Mashima's art style to the bone, he still makes 100 Year Quest art peek out with his own unique touch on it. Despite people criticizing the arc so much, the arc offered an incredibly high amount of great moments through its entire run. From amazing fights to power-ups, backstories, and character moments, the arc didn't lack hype moments at all. And I don't really feel that we wasted a year on it, because it was good. However, regardless how many good points the arc had, there are many flaws but balance it out, and even if the arc itself isn't as bad as some people claim, it still had many issues and things what needs to be talked about. First is the biggest elephant in the room, the end of the fight against Viernes. Even if the fight itself between Natsu and Viernes was straight up peak fire, peak fiction, the end of the fight was anticlimactic. Viernes got defeated in the arc with we basically not knowing anything about him. No backstory, no reason on why he turned himself into a concept, no personality, no proper explanation about his goals and motivations and so on. Nothing. His head just got blown off and that's it. The end. GG's. It is pretty big of a letdown. As I said in my previous video, I wish the fight would have lasted at least a chapter longer. Of course, I am still open to the possibility that Viernes might return, since I don't like to jump to conclusions. But as things are now, the end of the fight was bad. It was a letdown. Now the second issue is the pacing of the fight. Okay, I know. I said previously that the pacing was fine, since it was longer than the Dogramag fight. And I still think the same. However, it isn't really about the pacing itself. The pacing was fine. I personally like the back-to-back chapters with fights more than the constant cutaways to different events. However, seems like this isn't the case with other people. Some people this way don't get the pacing and get confused. So I do think the fight needed more cutaways, so it would have given the illusion of a longer fight. I think Mashima should focus on making more fights like the Dogramag one and the Aldoron one with lots of cutaways before the climax, instead of back-to-back chapters style, because that way the regular reader will be capable to enjoy it more and understand the pacing far better. I swear to god this is some Genjutsu type shit. The third issue with the arc was the Sabertooth. The Sabertooth didn't play as big of a role as people wanted to. Even if they were still more than helpful, they didn't participate in any major fight. I wish they would have gotten at least a single proper fight in the arc. They felt quite useless even if they weren't. However, this isn't really a Mashima only fault. We are technically to blame for this. I believe the only reason the Sabertooth was present in the arc to begin with was because people kept asking Mashima for it. And when you include characters in an arc they aren't supposed to be in a bi-weekly schedule, things get wacky. I fully understand why Mashima didn't know what to do with them properly. And I wish people would stop bothering Mashima about when will their favorite character pop up next. Alchemy not being explored enough is another issue with the arc. The arc was supposed to be about the Gold Oval Alchemist Guild, yet the main villain of the arc kept using whiteout magic on any moment he got. Even if I love how Mashima left Alchemy open for further developments, he should have put slightly more effort into explaining and developing Alchemy. With just a little bit of more explaining, people would have understand the difference between magic and alchemy, without someone like me or other content creators needing to explain it. This could have been fixed with characters explaining their abilities more, or with more alchemies being introduced in the arc, or with just making the fight Lucy and Grey Head slightly more serious. Fake Duke also massively underperformed during the arc. He was hyped up massively, but through the entire arc his biggest achievement was clapping Natsu off screen, what he probably did with Whiteout. The moment Whiteout was out of question, Natsu folded him. Then when Viernes got manifested, he just disappeared. So he got totally wasted. He should have stayed longer, maybe during Natsu vs Viernes fight, he could have served as an opponent for Grey. That would have probably been the best choice. It could have served to give Grey fans more content and as a cutaway from the Viernes fight to give the illusion of a longer fight. This would have made Duke live up to his name to a degree, but as things are currently, he underperformed compared to the hype he received. Another issue what is similar is Athena not living up to the hype as well. Athena was hyped since the first few chapters of 100 Year Quest, and even if she was a nice addition, she also underperformed in terms of power. We should have seen more of her abilities being displayed against an actual opponent. The first serious fight she could have had was cut short, and the fight against Lucy and Yukino went nowhere. We've seen her being capable to clear entire towns out from low-level dragons, and was hyped up as a weapon useful against the dragon gods. But eventually she didn't do much outside of being a sacrificial lamb for Viernes and an information dump. Even though I think this might change as she will definitely play a role in the future, she massively underperformed during this arc, alongside the Signario Sisters and Duke. While the Signario Sisters had an excuse of underperforming, she and Duke didn't. One of the last issues of the arc was the lack of outside viewpoint of the fight against Viernes. Viernes caused massive amounts of destruction, yet we didn't see the nearby villages and towns' perspective of the fight. This perspective helps us understand how serious of a threat a dragon god truly is. Messphobia felt more of a threat than Viernes despite doing less destruction, simply because we've seen the effects of the fight and the reaction of the townspeople. Same with Serena. But we see no such thing with Viernes, despite him essentially creating a ravine between multiple towns. It turned the sky to gold alongside an entire mountain range, but we got shown no reaction. You might think this is a BS point, but the importance of these outside perspectives is really great. They help establish and build up the tension. The God of War arc had much more flaws than most other arcs, so I'm not going to say it was perfect because it wasn't. The arc had a lot of wasted potential that could have been fixed with like 3 to 4 extra chapters worth of content, maybe 5. The entire arc felt like a giant setup arc rather than a full out arc about a dragon god. It had an Elentir feeling to it, and I don't want to jump to conclusions, but if this is the end of the gold dragon god, then it is truly disappointing way to let a dragon god go. However, at the exact same time, the arc had many great and amazing moments to balance the bad parts out, and at the same time it really wasn't as bad as people really think it was. It wasn't the worst arc in all of Firetail, it wasn't even the worst arc in 100 Year Quest. Personally, I think it was better than the Elentir arc, maybe around equal. Of course, nowhere near close to being as good as the Labyrinth arc, or the Aldoron arc. But it was quite decent with its ups and downs, it had many hype moments, and it had some bad writing choices. The arc is a solid 6 to 6.5 out of 10. So the arc clearly wasn't as bad as some people claim it was. It was okay. There was a major overreaction regarding the arc. Many of these overreactions were born thanks to people not liking specific elements or because they simply wanted something else. For example, people complained about how Yukino unlocked the star dress, what was quite hilarious. It was literally played off as a joke to show how different Lucy and Yukino are. Literally hard work contra talent. But it flew over people's head and they started complaining about it. Like, why? They also complained about how Grey didn't have a serious fight, or how Grey got kicked by Athena too. Yes, people complained about Grey getting kicked. People complained about too many things what can be boiled down to favorite character not relevant equal bad writing mentality, what became quite rampant in Mashima fandom in the past few years. Some people also overreacted so much regarding the arc, they would go and leave bad comments under Ueda's tweet, what is absolutely disgusting. Ueda isn't in the charge of the writing direction, he's just the illustrator. And he does some amazing work with 100 Year Quest. You are allowed to dislike something, but don't harass the mangakas. Is that really that fucking hard to understand? I really spent way too much time on this video, so leave your opinion below. Don't forget to subscribe and see you guys in space. Bye!